about right.
And you thought that you'd be safe in your tower, insulated from the people below. But the truth has undermined your foundation by so many people now in the know. You thought that you'd see the day that you could just get away from the ones you betrayed, who raised their voices to say you won't be trusted anymore.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 22nd of September, 2025. These are the WTF reports. I'm your host, vonKleist. So much to get to today. Oh my gosh, it's been a busy weekend. And there's a copious amount of fecal matters hitting the air circulator. Oh yes, and I'm glad to see it. I really am. And before I get started, a quick reminder: this broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch, and if you haven't checked it out, you're doing yourself a tremendous disservice. So please visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and check out the Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. All right, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. There are several different issues that I want to get to today. And, of course, the big story was yesterday, the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. And it was a huge, there were, 80,000 people in that arena. And there were many more thousands of people that were outside that couldn't get in. And it was a very, heart-jerking, sad, and also celebratory experience, celebrating Charlie Kirk's life and accomplishments, but also the sadness because he was taken out too soon. And there are a lot of people out there that are creating division. Yes, divided we fall, divided we fall. A lot of people were going after Charlie because he was talking about Israel. Oh my goodness, he was questioning about the motives behind the October 7th, 2023 attack by Hamas. And of course, a lot of people are seeing through that, and I think Charlie saw through that too. He was also seeing through the undue influence that the Israeli government has over our government. He was drawing attention to Israel. And of course, the powers that be don't want that to happen. And the other people who were starting to touch the third rail, of course, is Candace Owens. Now, Candace Owens, people are really getting after her, and I'm telling you, she's on the money. She's on the money. And you people out there that are screaming about Candace Owens, you need to pay attention to what this woman is saying. Because if Charlie Kirk hadn't been, I guarantee you, if he hadn't been murdered 11 days ago, they'd be going after him too. And they're going after Tucker Carlson as well, because all three of them are hitting the third rail. And they're going after Anna Kasparian too, because she's touching the third rail. Marjorie Taylor Greene is touching the third rail. A lot of people are starting to realize that there is something afoot with this assassination, and something afoot with this undue influence that the Israeli government has over our government. They're starting to put the puzzle pieces together. They are starting to notice. That's the magic word. The noticing continues. Max Blumenthal is talking about it too. But anyway, I'll get to a bunch of audio clips. But right now, the FBI, yesterday, Kash Patel, said he's going to take a look at some of the other things, because as I was talking about last week, and many other people all over the country, many of the broadcasters, podcasters, social media influencers, they're all saying the same thing. And that is that this story about Tyler Robinson, this kid that they say, we got him, this is the shooter, here he is. Well, I got to tell you, folks, nobody's believing that story. It is so filled with holes, it makes like Swiss cheese look like a brick. And everybody's seeing it. Nobody believes the official story. In fact, yesterday, during the memorial service, they broke away, and there was a panel there. I don't know who the other people were, but one of them was Steve Bannon, and they basically had this to say. Listen to this.
So I was in line with people for 3 hours talking to all the folks. And they were Christians, and they were happy, and they had families, and they were lovely people. And I started talking to them. And they were happy and prayerful, and none of them that I spoke to believed that the shooter that they got and have arrested actually did it.
None of them.
And they are
the War Room Posse, it's 0%.
They were, and they were angry.
Same with our chat.
They don't need.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. That was Steve Bannon saying that there's 0% that believe the official narrative.
They don't. Not saying this guy's not a bad guy and an evil guy,
Right.
But they think something, and this is why Kash Patel did announce today that the FBI has officially expanded the investigation. My big fear was you would get a lone wolf, lone gunman, and Utah police and everybody want to shut it down. I think Kash said today that they've expanded it out because we have to.
Yeah, you're doggone right you have to, because nobody's believing the official story. We're being fed a line of horse hockey again. And one of the social media influencers out there, a woman, she calls herself Shipwreck. And just to give you an idea of how and how many times we have been fed horse hockey, breadcrumbs, and rabbit trails, and we've all been brainwashed. Listen to this.
He was a lone shooter and he acted alone. He acted alone. He acted alone. Where's the bullet? Where's the bullet? Where's the bullet? He acted alone. He acted alone. He was the lone shooter. He acted alone. It came from the front. It came from the front. It came from 200 yards, 200 yards, 200 yards, and the binders are blank. The binders were blank. The documents are on my desk. They're on my desk. They're in a van. They're on their way. They're on my desk. The documents are on my desk. The binders were blank. The binders were blank, and we didn't know the media was going to be there, and the binders are blank. And if you don't think that they're blank, you're anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. You're racist. You're bigoted. You're un-American. You're un-American. You're un-American.
A lie told often enough becomes the truth.
If you don't stand with Israel, you're un-American. Anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic, and the binders were blank. The binders were blank, and the documents are on my desk, and he was the lone shooter.
Mm-hmm.
He was the lone shooter. Las Vegas. He was the lone shooter. JFK. He was the lone shooter. Charlie Kirk. He was the lone shooter. Donald Trump. He was the lone shooter. He was on our radar. He was on our radar. He was on our radar. The documents are on my desk. He was on our radar. Anti-Semitic. Un-American.
You get the general.
Un-American.
You get the general
Un-American.
idea. This is what the media does. This is what the powers that be do over and over and over again. They're just pumping you full of rhetoric and lies. And that's why I use that song in the beginning of my program, You Won't Be Trusted Anymore. So, yeah, they're feeding us horse hockey. Nobody is believing the official story. Now, last week I said, okay, look, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. People are saying, okay, well, it was the guy, they were giving hand signals, and the guy in the white hat signaled, and then the guy in the black shirt signaled, and then there was this over here. And I wasn't paying attention to any of these conspiracy theories because there's a lot of rabbit trails that are being thrown out there, so nobody knows what the heck to believe. However, I have seen several of the videos and a couple of analyses, shall we say, and I'm starting to think, okay, maybe we do have an idea of who shot Charlie Kirk. Not who, but what happened. Now, I'm personally, there was a witness, and by the way, stop and think about it. There were, between 2,000 and 3,000 people there. How many people were taking videos on their cameras? These people have to post this information so we get a general idea of how the crowd reacted, which way they were looking, what happened. We haven't seen a whole lot of that. Now, there was one guy who was being interviewed after this whole thing went down, and he was giving his testimony, and you know what? A bunch of the Turning Point USA guys surrounded him and started hauling him off, because he was telling everybody what he saw. And we only got a piece of this, but this is what happened. Here he is.
Standing from probably the third row in the bottom, I heard the shot ring out, I looked to my left, and then I looked over to my right. I saw him slump over in his chair forward. He slumped over. He had blood coming from the left side of his neck, down his shirt, and he slumped over and he was carried off.
Here they come.
Get off me!
Now, why would this happen? Why did they haul this guy off? Now, again, he was giving his testimony. He was standing, like he said, about 3 rows back, looking at Charlie Kirk. All right? Now, let's just analyze what he said. He said, let me start it over again. Here it is.
Standing from probably the 3rd row in the bottom. I heard the shot ring out. I looked to my left.
Okay, I'm pausing it right there. He was looking at Charlie. He heard the shot, and he looked to his left. That would be Charlie Kirk's right. All right, now there is a video that's circulating out there that apparently, possibly, shows in this area over near a stairwell a muzzle flash. There's a brief flash. Okay? And then in another frame, there's a little dot. It could be the bullet. So that would mean that the shot came from the right of Charlie Kirk, not from the rooftop, as the FBI is trying to tell you. So we may have a lead as to what happened. Now, personally, years ago, I knew a woman who was an Olympic competitor in sharpshooting. Yeah. And she was, her gun of choice was a 22 with a bull barrel. And I got to tell you, I had a 22 rifle, and 22s, those are just little bullets, okay? Little bullets with a little cartridge behind it. But the 22 that she had with a bull barrel had a 22 bullet. Now, the bullet's still the same size. It's just a little thing. But the cartridge behind it is like as big as like a 5.56 or something, a 2.2, whatever, 2.28, whatever it is. And those things, she was able to hit a target at 2 miles. And that thing had a kick to it. She let me fire it a couple times. Now, the thing is, that little tiny bullet, that's not like a 30-06 or something that's going to come out of a Mauser or something. That's a little tiny bullet. Now, according to the video that I saw and some analysis that I saw, it appears as though Charlie was hit on the side, towards the rear of the neck on the right side, and the exit hole was what we all saw. Now, if this had been a 30-06 or something with a larger caliber, and he was hit from the front, then there would have been just horrible blood all over behind him on the backdrop. The backdrop that says Turning Point USA and everything. That thing would have been splattered. But that didn't happen. Okay, so there's something else going on here. We don't know who, we don't know what, but we do know that the official story is horse hockey. So that means that either the FBI is stupid, incompetent, or part of the cover-up. And if it's part of the cover-up, we're in deep doo-doo, folks. We may already be in deep doo-doo. But the point is, though, is that it's more and more looking like something else happened other than what they're feeding us in the mainstream media. And if you have the ability to think outside of the cage, you'll probably agree with me. But I have to tell you, there's so many people now that are screaming about, we want the truth. We want to find out exactly what happened. And you know what? They talked to Elon Musk yesterday, and they asked him, well, I'll let you hear it. This is what Elon Musk said.
He was killed because his words made a difference. Because he was showing people the light. And he was killed by the dark.
He was showing people the light, and he was killed by the dark. Well, he's not the only person who's talking about darkness and light. Josephine Guilbeault, she is a military veteran, and she's been screaming about the genocide over there in Palestine. And she had this to say when it comes to darkness and light.
Being killed by the Zionists, the evil of the Zionists. To American leaders, this country is no longer free. We are controlled by the Zionists. You have lost the fight against them. And American citizens must rise and replace them. American leaders, these leaders at the United Nations, have led all people of this world into a great darkness. But what you see here is the light. And they will not push us or our hearts or our minds into darkness, we will be the light that continues to shine. Whether you imprison us, censor us, or even try to take our lives, we will still shine.
Yes, and remember, a lie needs another lie for support, but the truth will stand alone. And that's what I've been saying for years. You've heard me, if you regular listeners know, I've been saying we have to stand in the light. We have to stay, don't get overwhelmed by the darkness. And here's one line from a song I wrote 25 years ago.
Were you proudly hailing through the perilous fight? Did you hide in darkness or try to shed light?
Do you hide in darkness or do you try to shed light? It's real simple. And I hate to credit George Bush Sr., but he did say, we have 1,000 points of light. Okay, if everybody was to light a match, one match will destroy an entire room of darkness. So if we could just stand in the light. Like I just said, a lie needs another lie for support, but the truth will stand alone. And more people are starting to stand in the light, and they are not going to swallow the horse hockey that's being thrown down their gullet 24/7, 365. And there's a lot of people that, let me see. Where do I go from here? I've got a bunch of different things here. People are starting to really look at Israel. They're really starting to look at it very critically, and well, they should. As a matter of fact, Max Blumenthal, very well known, he had this to say.
So Netanyahu sees that he's losing his last base, and all he's left with is the 1%. The influencers who are just Jewish Zionists who have no ability who are losing their own ability to communicate with the conservative grassroots. I'm talking about Ben Shapiro, whose Daily Wire company has been collapsing. They canceled their credit cards last year. They're like ending their office space. They're leaving their office space in Nashville. Mark Levin at Fox News, he's just an artificial construction of the Murdoch family. He doesn't have an actual base.
Yep.
These are Netanyahu's voices in the U.S., and then he has his billionaires, the Bill Ackmans, the Ron Lauders. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to take TPUSA, which Charlie Kirk controlled, and what they've been trying to do for years is take this, which is a political empire that has an annual budget that's larger than the municipal budget of many small American cities, and use it as a host body for their agenda to prevent the conservative grassroots exodus from Israel's, to prevent the conservative grassroots from turning on Zionism. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk realizes his own grassroots base that he commands at TPUSA is in full revolt. They're disgusted by the genocide. Some of them are disgusted by the genocide in Gaza, but what really upsets them the most is they start to see that their own government is under the control of a foreign entity, and that Netanyahu seems to even control Donald Trump.
That's right. They're starting to get it. As a matter of fact, there was a debate going on between Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks and Ben Shapiro. And I think that this is kind of important, because what they're trying to say is that Social Security is bankrupting the country, and it's because of Social Security that we're all into all this debt, et cetera, et cetera. But no, they don't want you to talk about the billions and billions and trillions of dollars wars have cost the United States because we are supporting this rogue state. That's this country, this Zionist state of Israel that is controlled by the fake Jewish folks, by the Khazarian mafia. If you haven't done any research on the Khazars, you got to do so. Anyway, this is a little piece of the debate that went back and forth, and this brings up some very good points that people are now starting to realize.
You're talking about Social Security,
Yes.
which is people's money.
Well, it is.
I just totally reject what you just said about how we're going bankrupt due to Social Security. Really, you don't think like the trillions of dollars we've spent on wars in the Middle East might have something to do with that?
It's not even
our
remotely a
national debt.
percentage of what we spend on Social
Our national
Security.
debt shot up significantly after we started invading countries in the Middle East. We're
2008
spending
went.
hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel. Do you
Social
think
Security.
that Social Security is more of an issue compared to how much money we just shell out for conflicts abroad?
In this clip, you've got two Zionists blaming hardworking Americans for the nation's debt, and their solution is to raise the retirement age to 70. On the other side, journalist Anna Kasparian setting the record straight. Our debt didn't explode because of workers or Social Security. It exploded because of Israel. And she was right on the money, because this is what Zionists like Shapiro and Jennings don't want you to know. Social Security isn't a government handout, it's money you've earned. With every paycheck, a portion of your wages is set aside to secure your benefits later in life. Since 2010, however, payroll taxes haven't always covered the full amount of benefits. For example, in 2010, Social Security needed $702 billion to pay benefits, but collected only $677 billion. So the government borrowed $25 billion to make up the difference. Over time, those gaps have added up to about $950 billion in borrowing, an issue that must be addressed to keep the program sustainable. However, what Zionists like Ben Shapiro and Scott Jennings don't want you to do is compare that $950 billion that the government borrowed to close the gap of Social Security to how much it borrowed to give or to fight on behalf of Israel.
How much?
And we're not just talking about the $310 billion in direct military aid to Israel, but all the wars Israel pushed the U.S. to fight to get rid of its enemies in the Middle East.
Iraq, Iran, and Libya are racing to develop nuclear weapons. Obviously, we'd like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran, just as I would like to see in Iraq. The first victory in Afghanistan makes the second victory in Iraq that much easier. The second victory in Iraq will make the third victory that much easier too.
Brown University's Costs of War project estimates that America's wars on Israel's behalf have cost over $8 trillion.
$8 trillion
Yet
bucks.
Zionists never mention this massive drain because it served Israel's interests. On one hand, they demand raising the retirement age of Americans to 70. On the other, they push America toward its most expensive war yet, with Iran on behalf of Israel. Do you think that American economy can survive Zionism?
Do you think so? Can we survive this? How much money do we send over there? How much military aid do we send over there? How many bombs, bullets, tanks, missiles, you name it? This is what's going on. We have been taken over, folks. And the only way that we're going to get it back, you can't ask for it. We're going to have to somehow rise up and take control. Even George Galloway in Great Britain sees what's going on.
America is Israel, and Israel is America. Israel is the 51st state of America. The Mossad is the CIA. The CIA is the Mossad. If you don't believe the extent to which these two countries have merged.
Yes, we have. This has become the United States of Israel. And if you don't believe it, just, pull your head out of the sand. As a matter of fact, there was a woman that posted you just heard George Galloway say that Israel is the 51st state. No, I think that Israel has taken the place of Washington, D.C. And there are many, many people who are seeing this. Now, a week ago today, we had nearly half of Congress went to Israel for a convention that was called 50 States, One Israel. I mean, how blatant does it have to be? When do we wake the F up?
America, wake up.
Wake up.
We need to talk. Do you see this? Right here. Right here.
It's the logo she's showing. You can't see the video, but she's showing the logo where it says 50 states and one Israel.
250 of your representatives went here.
To Israel.
To pledge allegiance to here.
To Israel.
Not to us.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what is one of the topics?
What?
It is to make it illegal You will receive a massive fine and jail if you boycott this. And you want to know why they don't want you to? Listen to me, Americans. They don't want you to because of the following. Go to a website called notmytaxdollars.org and you will find out what happens when America takes itself back. All of that money you are sending there because of your representatives, approximately 250 of them going there, take your money and your power back. Because if you free Palestine from them,
from Israel,
you free us from them.
From Israel.
250 of your representatives left our country in complete fucking chaos and went there. Our police are trained there. Our ICE has software from there. Wake the fuck up! Are we clear? Is that good? Do I need to remake this? Should I make it, a little more aggressive? Or did you get my fucking point? Free Palestine to free the 50 states.
Yes.
Yeah, it's that simple.
It is that simple. We'll carry on right after this.
Bribery, coercion, blackmail.
Yeah, those are the tools that are used, folks, to basically take control of this country. And they have taken control. I'll be right back.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get more tank by visiting our website. The website is TheWTFReports.com. If you click on the sponsors page, you'll come to a little area. You can click on the Get More Tank logo, and it'll take you to their website where you can have all the specifications and details about how this stuff works. It's a fuel catalyst. It's not a fuel additive. That's a big difference. It actually makes the fuel burn at a slightly lower temperature. It cleans your engine. And after about a half a tank of fuel, you will notice that when you hit the gas, your car jumps. And not only that, not only does it run better, not only does it have more power, not only does it run cleaner, which is great for the environment, but after a few tanks, you'll start to see a remarkable difference in your mileage. You're going to get better mileage, depending upon your make, model, year, and how you drive, of course. But you can see anywhere between 15 and 20% better mileage on your fuel. Now, if you do the math, you're going to spend, with the promo code, it'll cost you all of $20 whole to get 5 tablets of Get More Tank. And if you're using one tablet per tank, that's 5 tanks. Do the math. If you get 20% better mileage, that means the 5th tank is free. How much is a tank of gas? Okay? And how much is a package of Get More Tank? It's $20. Can you fill your tank on $20? I don't think so. The bottom line here is with one purchase, you're saving money. This is a no-brainer, folks. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and Get More Tank. You'll be glad that you did. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, there.
All I want is the truth. Just give me some truth.
That's all we want is the truth. That's all we want. Because we're sick and tired of the horse hockey that's being thrown down our gullet by our elected officials. And at this point, I have to say the FBI as well. Kash Patel, you better get your act together. Yeah, so now he's going to redouble his efforts into the investigation into the murder of Charlie Kirk. And well, he should, because nobody is buying your horse hockey. Like I said a couple minutes ago, they're either stupid, incompetent, or they're part of the cover-up. And if they're part of the cover-up, yeah, we're in deep doo-doo, folks. But anyway, more and more people are noticing. They're noticing what's going on between the United States and Israel. And yes, we have to look at AIPAC. And of course, that's all the money that's on the record that they're paying off your elected officials. What about all the money that's, off the record? All of our elected officials, unfortunately, have been compromised. Now, there's that old joke about the guy that asks the woman if she'll go to bed with him for $1 million, and she agrees. And then he says, well, would you go to bed with me for $1? And she says, what do you think I am? He says, we already determined what you are. We're just negotiating a price. Well, let's apply that towards your elected officials. Would you betray your country for $100?
No, I'd never do that.
Yeah, would you do it for, $10,000?
No.
Would you do it for $50,000?
Keep going.
Would you do it for $100,000?
Where do I sign?
Yeah, right. That's what's going on. Go look at AIPAC. You can go to trackapac.com and look up your elected official and see how much money your elected official has been paid off by AIPAC. In some cases, it's, over $1 million. I mean, even more than that. AIPAC has given Donald Trump $230 million. So who's he working for? Did you contribute to the Republican campaign? Did you give Donald Trump money? No. And if you did, I'm sure it ain't going to match the $230 million that AIPAC has given him. So we have to understand, folks, that if we want our country back, we have got to contact our officials, and we got to tell them, stop taking money from AIPAC. Stop allowing a foreign country to govern our country. It's not supposed to happen. And like I said, this is why you've seen on social media accounts, I've noticed on X, that all of a sudden there's an explosion of pro-Israel accounts that have shown up. And they're all, of course, saying, oh, if you want to, you support Palestine, that means you support terrorism. I see. So if I'm against genocide, that means I am pro-Hamas? No. Oh, well, then you're an anti-Semite. No, I'm not an anti-Semite. Not at all. As a matter of fact, I have Jewish friends that are appalled and disgusted with what Israel is doing. There's a big difference between the Old Testament Jews and the Talmudic Jews. And it's the Talmudic Jews who have taken over Israel. They've wrapped themselves in that flag with the star of, well, it ain't the Star of David. It's the Star of Moloch, of Remphan, and that's in the Bible. They are imposters. None of Bibi's cabinet is even from the Middle East. Bibi Netanyahu's real name, or original name, was Milikowski. He's got Polish heritage. These people are imposters. Do some research into the Khazars and the Ashkenazi. And you know what? A lot of people are doing research into that, and they're finding out this goes back thousands of years. Yes, it does. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's touching the third rail now, too. Listen to what she has to say.
The U.S. already provides nuclear-armed Israel with $3.8 billion annually in foreign aid. In 2024, in the security supplemental, we gave $8.7 billion to Israel. During the recent 12-day war with Iran in June, the U.S. used 15 to 20% of our terminal high-altitude area defense missile stockpile defending Israel. That cost the United States somewhere over $800 million. It's important to note that since 2006, we've spent over $15 billion supporting these Israeli missile defense systems. Here's what is something important to understand. While we're $37 trillion in debt, Israel is less than $400 billion in debt. And they're doing so well with their economy. They're able to provide state-funded health care for Israeli citizens. They're able to provide state-funded college. It's not anti-Semitic to say that America should keep our money and invest our own hard-earned tax dollars in our own interest, especially for a country like Israel that is nuclear armed and that is doing so well economically. They're able to provide state-funded health care and college. I don't think that's a country that needs our assistance, especially how they've shown the entire world that they're very capable of annihilating and wiping out their enemies.
Yes, right. And by the way, how do you feel about your health insurance? Can you afford health coverage? No? Well, guess what? You're paying for the Israelis to have free health care. How about those college loans and all the debt that people are going into, to get a higher education? Well, guess what? You're paying for free college for Israelis. How does that sit with you? When are we going to stop and say, wait a second, this is not good for America. This is not good for us. And if you dare speak out about that, oh, you're an anti-Semite. You hate Jews. Oh, yeah. No. Not so. And you know what? A lot of us conservatives out here, here I am broadcasting on the Red State Talk Radio Network. I know that a lot of you folks are conservative Republicans, and I'm sorry, but you and I and all of us have had the wool pulled over our eyes. There's a broadcaster by the name of Tim Dillon, and he was talking about winning. Remember Trump was saying, oh, you're going to get so sick of winning. We're going to win. We're going to keep on winning. Hey, look what's happened since he got in there. Would you call that winning? Huh? Here's Tim Dillon.
There's no way anyone elected Trump for this. 3 years ago, the right wing solidly supported Israel. Right now, they don't. 3 years ago, it was unthinkable for a majority of the right to have turned against America's funding of Israel. Now you are seeing people under 40 on the left and the right agreeing that America should not be funding whatever the hell Israel's doing. Building Las Vegas on the Gaza Strip. Nobody's in for that. Nobody's in for that. When the Israeli finance minister comes out and goes, hey, we spent a lot of money on the war. We got to get paid back a little bit. We're doing a real estate project. It's on Trump's desk. It's all fine. People under 40 are going, hey, man, I can't own a house. I can't pay back my student loans. Why are my tax dollars funding you guys going and building Miami in Gaza? Who's that for? Who's that for? And why are people funding it? If you work at a 7-Eleven for 12 hours a day on your feet, your tax dollars are going so that real estate developers can build luxury condos with floating bathtubs in Gaza. There's no way anyone elected Trump for this. There's zero possibility that people elected Donald Trump so that their tax dollars could go to luxury real estate development in Gaza. And now if you criticize that, they'll take your visa. If you're a foreign student, they'll just shut you down. So shut the up, get out of here. Everybody thinking that Jimmy Kimmel being removed and indefinitely suspended from ABC means that you are winning. You're a fool. Your tax dollars are going to build casinos in Gaza. You're not winning. This is not what winning looks like.
No, it's not. Absolutely not. We're losing. And that's because we put blind trust in these elected officials, and that includes the Trump administration. Look what's happened since he took office. He pulled Larry Ellison and threw him into the front lines, Larry Ellison from Oracle, and you got Peter Thiel from Palantir, and they want to have massive vaccine programs that are tailored just for you. That's right. We can take your DNA and we can make a vaccine that'll make you impervious to any and all viruses. All you got to do is stand up and roll up your sleeve. Yeah, right. Okay. After we've been finding out about all the crap that's in the vaccines. Yeah. Anyway, there's that part of it. Oh, okay. Then there's Peter Thiel, who wants to build the most sophisticated surveillance system that the world has ever seen. And you link that with Elon Musk and Starlink. This is going to be just like the movie Terminator. People have got to, start rising up. I mean, soon, like yesterday. And in the meantime, the powers that be and the media are trying to gin up all kinds of wars and internal division. Remember, divided we fall. So what's going on with the media? Well, they're trying to create race wars and ethnic wars and holy wars and class wars, and we have to keep fighting against each other because it's the left versus the right. Like I said last week, when you got a right versus left conflict, I mean, that's called civil war, and that's exactly what they want. They want a civil war. Because when you go from right to left or left to right, then you're fighting each other. But the people at the top, way up top, they're just sitting there watching. The bottom line here is it's not right versus left, it's bottom to top. That's the conflict that we should be focusing on. And meanwhile, you've got idiots out there. I mean, there's so many. I mean, I'm sorry. Jasmine Crockett, oh my gosh, have you heard? She is really pushing the race thing. Listen, and she's so uneducated. Here's a recent clip from Jasmine Crockett.
One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was, specifically to us.
Yeah, that's a lie. That was he was not pushing racism, not at all. But, I mean, how can you argue with somebody who has a real handicap with common sense and logic? Here's her definition of criminal. Listen to this.
I understood what was kind of pushing them there. And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal.
No.
That is completely different. Being a criminal is more so about your mindset. Committing a crime can come for a lot of different reasons.
So if you do something criminal, you're not a criminal. That's her logic. And again, I don't know where she studied history. Listen to this one.
Most black people are not Republicans simply because we just is like, y'all racist. I can't hang out with the KKK in them.
Well, stop it right there. So she's equating the KKK with Republicans? The KKK was created by the Democratic Party, sweetheart.
That's really what it is. But when we think about who we are as black people and we think about where we come from, most black people have very conservative values. Right?
Oh, really?
But the reality is that, we just can't side with, the neo-Nazis in them.
Oh, okay. So if you're on the right, you're a neo-Nazi. See what I'm saying? Is that they're creating more and more division. They want us to fight against each other. They want a race war. They want a class war. They want a holy war. They want an economic war. And unfortunately, there was one guy that this makes way too much sense. Because if we're pushing for a civil war, and now we got, liberals out there that have been formally very much against gun control. I mean, very much against, they want gun control. Okay, but now there's a lot of these Antifa groups that are arming themselves and getting ready to do battle in the streets. Here's one guy that I thought this was worthy of playing. Listen to this.
Would it not stand to make sense that the reason Republicans think that guns are for protecting their family, for hunting, for protecting themselves from a tyrannical government? Because that's what they use them for. Liberals, on the other hand, think guns are meant for murdering people because that's what they use them for.
Oh, he makes a good point. He makes a very good point. But, John Lennon made a good point. What was it, 60 years ago?
Come together right now.
Yeah, we have to come together. Remember, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And as much as you may have nothing but disdain and disrespect for people with blue hair, or whatever, we have to understand that we're all products of our environment. And I see a lot of folks, both on the left and on the right, as victims of the propaganda machine that's been going full steam ahead for our entire lives, and especially over the past decade. Ever since the NDAA was signed by President Barack Obama, which rescinded the Smith-Mundt Act, it made propaganda legal in this country. And that means they could say anything that they want. It doesn't have to be fact-checked or anything like that. They just, CNN opens up the mics, Fox News opens up the mics, ABC, CBS, NBC, all of them. And that's why I've been screaming from the rooftops for all these years, is because we are all being victimized by the horse hockey and propaganda that's been thrown down our gullets 24/65, every day, every night, every week, every month. And that's why Shipwreck is dead on the money when she put this out.
Shooter, and he acted alone. He acted alone. He acted alone. Where's the bullet? Where's the bullet? Where's the bullet? He acted alone. He acted alone.
Yeah, I played this before. I'll keep on playing it too, I mean, it's, over and over and over again. A lie told often enough becomes the truth.
The towers fell. The towers fell because of the planes. The planes hit the towers and the towers fell. The planes hit the towers. The planes hit the towers. The planes hit the towers. Weapons of mass destruction. There's weapons of mass destruction. The documents are on my desk. There's weapons of mass destruction. War. We need to go to war. China's coming. Russia's coming. Iran is coming. Weapons of mass destruction. War. We need to go to war. The documents are on my desk. The binders were blank. Anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. You're anti-Semitic. Un-American.
Mm-hmm.
You're un-American.
Yeah, that's the way it works, folks. If you don't go along with the official narrative, then you're anti-American, you're an anti-Semite, you're a Jew hater, you're this, you're that, and everything. No. And especially that term conspiracy theorist. Yeah, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, I wear that badge as a badge of honor. Because if you're a conspiracy theorist, that means you are a critical thinker. You think outside of the cage that's been so carefully prepared for you by the mainstream media and the powers that be. They don't want people to think. They want you to just memorize and repeat. And that's what the Department of Education has taught all of these generations. And all these people are so, like Randy Weingarten, and she and many others are so upset because the funding for the Department of Education has been cut. And Trump is saying, hey, turn the education over to the states. I say, yes, do it. And again, the Department of Education, it came into existence, and I think it was 1980. And at the time, the United States was number one in quality of education. Now, I've used this analogy in the past, and I'll continue to use it. When you hire somebody with a contract, a one-year contract, at the end of the year, you review their job, and if they're doing the job you want, you keep them on. If they're not, you fire their sorry butt and send them packing. So what did the government do with the Department of Education? Well, they took over the education system and started planning the national curriculum back in 1980. And in 81, the United States fell from first position. In 92, they fell even farther. And every single year, the quality of education in this country has dropped and dropped and dropped and dropped. And now we're what, like 28th or 30th? And there are still some people out there saying, we can't get rid of the Department of Education. We're going to have dumb kids. You've already got dumb kids. You're graduating kids with a 5th grade reading ability. And as far as their math skills are concerned, you might as well chalk those up. No wonder the country, we're in deep trouble here. I mean, there are kids that can't read a clock. They can't look at, it has to be digital. There are kids that don't know how to write. They'd stopped teaching cursive. Everything is done on a keyboard now, okay? So what's going to happen if all of a sudden the keyboards, what's going to happen if the internet has an outage? People are going to freak out. They're absolutely going to lose their cookies. And anyway, I know I'm on a bit of a rant today, but I mean, for me, it's as plain as the nose on your face. And anyone who's been paying attention can also see it's plain as the nose on your face. So at some point, I don't know where it's going to happen, But at some point, the powers that be are losing their control. Israel is on the ropes right now. I mean, I saw a couple of posts by some folks in China who had very broken English. I mean, they have a very strong accent, and they're basically seeing that Israel, the creation of Israel is a monster. It's a cancer to humanity. And again, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Jews are a cancer to humanity. The real Jews can see the same thing. And the real Jews out there, the Old Testament Jews, are just as appalled and disgusted with what Israel is doing, because the Old Testament Jews, they're going to suffer the consequences for the actions of these maniacs in charge of the government of Israel. And that's why many of the different Orthodox and Hasidic Jews are standing up, and they're burning Israeli flags.
Wait a minute, you can't do that. You're Jewish.
Yes, I'm a real Jew. They are the imposters. And they are imposters, folks. Again, do some research into the Khazars and the Ashkenazi. You'll find exactly what we've been saying on this broadcast for quite some time. The Khazars were brutal. They made Genghis Khan look like a choir boy. They brutalized, they took over, they slaughtered, they killed every man, woman, and child. They would assume their identities, they would take their property, and then they'd move on. And they figured out how to utilize usury, charging interest. Of course, that's why Jesus threw all the money changers out of the temple, because charging interest is a sin. It's wrong. It's illegal. But not to the Ashkenazis. No, that's how they build their power structure. That's how they have come to control the whole doggone world, or just about. They're controlling us. So if you're not happy about what's going on in the direction that this country is taking, you've got to stand up. You've got to contact your elected officials like today. Call them up and say, look, I don't appreciate your support of Israel. I'm not an anti-Semite, but I see the fact that we're sending billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars over to Israel, and my roads are falling apart, and I can't afford food, and I can't afford heat, and I can't afford an education, and I can't afford health care. I can't afford doodly squat, and yet you're sending billions of dollars over to Israel. It's not fair. It's not. And so... what else can I say, folks? I mean, this is the bed that we have to lie in. Why? Because we've been sitting on our hands for too doggone long. You know the old saying, when the cat's away, the mice will play? Well, let's face it, we've all become complacent. Our priorities are completely out of whack. We got Monday Night Football. Hey, did you see the games yesterday? Oh, my team's doing okay. Your team sucks. And yet people just seem to forget the fact that these teams, whether they be football or baseball or basketball, whatever ball, there's all different races. Blacks and whites and Hispanics and Orientals, all working together for a common goal. Why can't we do that for this country? Why can't we all just get it together and come together, as John Lennon said?
Come together.
Yeah, we have to come together. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Simple as that.
We can't wait for you to start to get on.
We can't wait, folks.
We can't wait for you to start to be true.
They got to tell us the truth.
We can't wait for you to finally discover
that the things you did can be done to you. Oh, boy, payback's going to be a bitch, folks. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today's Monday's edition of the WTF Reports. If you appreciate this broadcast, we need your support. If you're listening on YouTube or Rumble or BitChute, click like, subscribe, and share it. Word of mouth gets the word around, too. So that said, hopefully you'll support this broadcast and help us to grow. All right, I'm out of here, folks. I'll be back again same time tomorrow. So God bless you all. Stay safe and stay free. And I'll see you tomorrow.
anymore.